Today I am going to tell you a story I've never told anyone in full, a story about a tragedy, a mystery, and a truth that needed to be hidden for decades. It was a night like any other, many years ago. The village was preparing for Pongal, the harvest festival. The air was filled with the smell of fresh sugarcane. The ground was being cleared for celebrations, and children were running around, laughter echoing through the narrow streets. But in the middle of all this joy, something dark unfolded. The village of Periyanaickenpatti is small, nestled in the rolling hills of Tamil Nadu, a place where life flows with the seasons, where the fields of paddy sway in the breeze, and the sounds of temple bells echo through the early mornings. I, Kumaravel, a man now in my 60s, have lived here my entire life. Most days are spent tending to the land I've inherited from my father, but it was the nights, quiet, moonlit, and filled with whispers of the past, that shaped me. The man at the center of it was Raghavan, a young man of about 25 years who had been a bright spark in our village. Raghavan was intelligent, always asking questions about history, our culture, and the lands around us. He had recently returned from a trip to a neighboring town, and as he sat near the temple on that particular evening, he spoke of having met some strange men. These men were from a village far to the north, a place none of us had ever heard of before. They were older, their faces marked by years of hardship, but Raghavan seemed fascinated by them. He had made plans to meet with them again at night, and that was the last anyone saw of him. The next morning, as the sun rose over the fields, Raghavan was nowhere to be found. His family searched the village and the nearby woods, but there was no trace of him. His disappearance shook the village to its core. People began whispering about curses and dark forces, about ancient customs that should never have been disturbed. But no one knew the full truth. I too did not know much at the time, but I had heard stories from my elders. One evening when I was just a boy, I overheard a conversation between two old men in the temple courtyard. They spoke of an ancient temple hidden deep in the hills. It was a place where secrets were kept, where powerful rituals had been performed long before our time. They spoke of a treasure guarded by the spirits of our ancestors, a treasure that no one should ever seek, because the spirits would punish those who disturbed it. But no one in the village believed in such things, not even me. Days turned into weeks, and there was no sign of Raghavan. The village slowly resumed its life, but the shadow of that mystery hung over us. For years, the truth was buried beneath the surface and life moved on. Uncle, I need your help. I think I know where Raghavan went. I think I can find the truth. At first, I hesitated. The memories of that night were still fresh, and I did not want to disturb what had been left alone for so long. But Ravichandran was determined. Please tell me what you know, he insisted. And so, I began to speak. I told him about that night when Raghavan had spoken to me of these strangers. I told him how, after his disappearance, a traveling priest, Muthuraman, had arrived in our village. He was unlike any man I had seen before, old with piercing eyes that seemed to see through everything. Muthuraman spoke in riddles, but there was something about him that made me listen. He mentioned a hidden temple in the hills, a place where old secrets were guarded, and he hinted at an ancient rivalry between villages, but no one took him seriously. We all thought he was just another wanderer with stories to tell, until one day Muthuraman disappeared, just like Raghavan had. Ravichandran, undeterred by my warnings, insisted we travel together to the hills. We must go there, uncle. We owe it to Raghavan to find out the truth. So we set out. The journey, long and tiring. The village road soon disappeared behind us, and we walked through dense forest and rocky paths. As the sun began to set, we arrived at the hidden temple. It was ancient, its stone walls overgrown with moss, the air thick with the scent of age and earth. Inside we found a small chamber beneath the temple, and within it a hidden scroll. The scroll was written in an old script, one I could barely read. But Ravichandran, with his studies of the past, began to decipher it. It spoke of a time long ago when two villages had fought for control of a treasure. a relic said to hold the power of the gods. But it was not just any treasure. It was said to be guarded by a spirit, a being who could not be seen but was always present. As we read this scroll, the truth slowly began to emerge. Raghavan, in his curiosity, had stumbled upon the secret. The treasure was real and the spirit of the guardian had been awakened. The strangers Raghavan had met were not from a neighboring village at all, but were men who had come to claim the treasure for themselves. Raghavan had unknowingly disrupted a sacred ritual, and the spirit had claimed him as a result. As we stood there, surrounded by the eerie silence of the temple, we heard a soft voice behind us. We turned to see Muthuraman standing at the entrance, his face grave. "You should not have come," he said, his voice low. "The spirit is restless and the past will not be ignored." We listened as Muthuraman spoke of the ancient pact between the two villages, the treasure and the spirit who had guarded it for centuries. He revealed that Raghavan had not been killed but had become part of the temple itself, his spirit bound to the relic. Ravichandran was silent, his mind racing with the implications. "Is it too late?" he asked. "Can we set things right?" Muthuraman looked at him with sorrowful eyes. "The only way to restore balance is to honor the past. But be careful, for the spirit does not forgive easily." We returned to the village, forever changed by what we had discovered. Ravichandran stayed on, and though we never spoke of it openly, we both understood that the village had been freed from its secrets. The spirit of Raghavan, once restless, had found peace, and the truth, though dark and heavy, had been revealed. And so, life in Periyanaickenpatti went on. But the lessons of the past remained, carried by those who had witnessed the truth, the last witnesses. The truth has been uncovered, but the past never truly fades. What would you have done in Ravichandran's place? Would you dare to disturb the forgotten secrets of Periyanaickenpatti? The echoes of history still whisper through the hills. Will you listen? Share your thoughts, theories, and interpretations in the comments. And if you love unraveling mysteries woven with history and legend, follow for more untold stories. The past is waiting to be heard. Will you be the next witness?